In the instant he enters, a man crosses the threshold where persona meets shadow, and love begins only if he dares to stay. Carl Jung. What a man feels in the very instant he enters a woman is far more complex than most people dare to imagine. For years, intimacy has been reduced to something purely physical, a brief exchange of desire followed by release. Yet, Jungian psychology reminds us that the human heart is never that simple. Beneath the surface of those quiet moments lies an emotional storm that many men never confess, not to their partners, not to their closest friends, and often not even to themselves. Behind a calm face may exist questions, fears, and longings that completely reshape the way we understand attraction, trust, and love. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Few experiences reveal this truth more clearly than intimacy. For many men, entering a woman is more than physical passion. It becomes a psychological threshold where the carefully built persona collides with the hidden parts of the self. The lover, the child, and the warrior awaken together. Uncertainty, longing, and hesitation into the very same moment. A man may appear passionate one moment, then strangely quiet afterward. He may pull closer or suddenly need distance. These responses are rarely random. They are expressions of inner psychological forces that have suddenly come alive. In this video, we'll explore 5 hidden Jungian truths that reveal what many men experience during intimacy. These are not dating tricks or relationship myths. They are psychological insights that help explain why some men withdraw, why others become deeply attached, and why understanding the unconscious can transform the way we see love. If these conversations resonate with you, remember to subscribe and join us for more Jungian discussions about relationships, psychology, and the hidden dynamics of the human heart. Let's begin. First layer, power and vulnerability. The very first thing many men experience is something surprisingly contradictory. They feel powerful and vulnerable at exactly the same time. On one side, he experiences a profound sense of being chosen. Someone has opened herself to him. Deep within the masculine psyche, this touches ancient instincts connected with protection, strength, and the desire to feel worthy. There is pride in that moment. But beneath that pride exists another emotion that is rarely discussed: fear. Suddenly, questions begin to surface. Am I enough? Did I satisfy her? Will she still desire me tomorrow? These aren't childish insecurities. They are often hidden fears that have existed long before this relationship ever began. Jung helps explain why. The confident image a man presents to the world, his persona, suddenly encounters the shadow, the hidden part of himself, carrying insecurity, self-doubt, and fear of rejection. Several archetypes become active simultaneously. The lover feels alive and connected. The warrior wants to remain strong and composed. The child quietly hopes to be accepted exactly as he is. These parts do not always agree with one another, which explains why intimacy can leave A man feeling emotionally unsettled even after appearing completely confident moments before. Some men respond by becoming overly dominant or focusing excessively on performance. To others, this appears like arrogance. Often, it's protection. If he convinces himself he performed perfectly, perhaps he can silence the fear that whispers he wasn't enough. Other men respond differently. Instead of becoming louder, they become softer. They hold their partner longer. They seek eye contact. They remain close, not because they suddenly became weak, but because intimacy has awakened a desire for emotional connection, alongside physical closeness. Many women wonder why a man sometimes becomes unusually quiet afterward, or why another man suddenly wants prolonged affection. This first psychological layer provides part of the answer. If his fear becomes stronger than his sense of safety, he may withdraw while rebuilding the confident image he normally carries. If he feels emotionally accepted, he often leans closer instead of further away. Jung believed that what remains hidden gains power over us. When a man refuses to acknowledge his own vulnerability, it often returns through projection. Instead of admitting he fears rejection, he may accuse his partner of judging him. Instead of recognizing his own insecurity, he convinces himself she is impossible to satisfy. The real battle is happening inside him. When he finally accepts both strength and vulnerability together, something changes. He becomes less concerned with proving himself and more capable of genuine intimacy. For women, this understanding changes everything. Many assume men seek only physical satisfaction. Often they are also searching for reassurance that they are valued not simply for performance, but for who they are beneath their confidence. Recognizing this doesn't mean becoming responsible for his emotional healing. It simply means understanding that masculinity often carries both courage and uncertainty simultaneously. Real strength includes both. Second layer, validation. If the first layer combines power with vulnerability, the second revolves around validation. For many men, intimacy unconsciously becomes proof that they matter. It reassures them they are attractive, wanted, chosen, worthy. Yet this validation creates its own trap. During intimacy, many men become surprisingly attentive to their partner's reactions. Her breathing, her expressions, her body language, her eyes. These become silent signals, answering an internal question. Was I enough? If she appears deeply connected, he often feels confirmed. If she seems distracted or emotionally distant, his mind may quietly begin questioning itself. Again, Jung points us toward the unconscious. Much of male longing is not simply biological desire. It is connected to hidden psychological needs. The lover seeks closeness. The hero wants success. Meanwhile, the shadow quietly whispers, "You still aren't enough." When validation depends entirely upon another person's reaction, intimacy becomes exhausting. No matter how meaningful one experience feels, another is needed to quiet the same internal doubt. This explains why some men continue searching from relationship to relationship. It isn't always because they desire more women. Sometimes they're chasing another moment of reassurance, another temporary answer to an old question about their own worth. As Jung warned, what remains unconscious quietly controls our lives. Until a man confronts his deeper fear of inadequacy, external validation can never fully satisfy him. For women, recognizing this dynamic helps explain behavior that otherwise appears confusing. Sometimes, he isn't simply watching your reactions because he seeks pleasure. He may unconsciously be searching for confirmation that he matters. Yet it's important to remember something equally important. You cannot become another person's source of self-worth. You are not responsible for healing wounds that existed before you arrived. Healthy intimacy allows reassurance to grow naturally, but it never asks one partner to carry the entire weight of another person's identity. When a man begins accepting both his confidence and his uncertainty, validation slowly changes. Instead of constantly needing proof, he begins resting in genuine connection, and that transforms intimacy from a performance into something much deeper. Third layer, the invisible bond. When walls begin to dissolve, beyond desire and validation exists something even deeper. The feeling of connection that can appear when two people share intense intimacy. Many people believe intimacy is only about the present moment, but both psychology and biology suggest that the experience can leave traces long after the moment has passed. A man may tell himself that something is casual. He may convince his mind that he can separate emotion from physical closeness. But the human nervous system does not always follow the rules we create with our thoughts. During intimacy, the body releases chemicals connected to attachment, comfort, and emotional bonding. These reactions can create a sense of familiarity and closeness that feels stronger than expected. This is why someone can walk away from an encounter believing they should feel nothing, yet later find themselves thinking about the person repeatedly. Jung would look beyond biology and ask a deeper question. What part of the unconscious has been awakened? For Jung, intimate connection represented more than two people coming together physically. It symbolized the meeting of different parts of the human psyche, the masculine and feminine, the conscious and unconscious, the known and the hidden. In Jungian psychology, every man carries an inner image of the feminine, which Jung called the anima. This represents emotions, intuition, sensitivity, and the deeper parts of the self that are often neglected. Sometimes, a relationship awakens qualities within a man that he has ignored for years. A woman may not only represent attraction, she may represent a forgotten part of himself. This is why certain connections feel difficult to explain. A person may not simply miss the individual. They may miss the version of themselves that appeared when they were around that person. They miss how they felt. They miss who they became. However, this is also where confusion can begin. A strong emotional bond does not automatically mean a healthy relationship. A powerful connection does not always mean two people are meant to stay together. Sometimes people confuse intensity with compatibility. They mistake emotional attachment for genuine alignment. The mature question is not only, do we feel something powerful? It is also, does this connection help both of us grow? A bond can be meaningful and still require wisdom. A person can awaken something beautiful inside you without necessarily being the person who belongs in your future. Understanding this prevents us from becoming prisoners of emotion. Fourth layer, when fear meets love. One of the greatest contradictions in human intimacy is that the same experience that creates closeness can also create fear. A man may enter intimacy believing he understands exactly what he wants. Then, something unexpected happens. He begins to care, and caring creates vulnerability. Many people are comfortable with attraction because attraction feels exciting. But emotional connection is different. Connection means something can be lost. The moment someone truly matters, the possibility of rejection becomes real. This is where fear enters. A man may begin asking questions he never expected. What if I lose her? What if she doesn't feel the same? What if I am not enough for her? These fears often remain hidden because many men are taught to appear certain, controlled, and unaffected. But beneath the surface, many are wrestling with emotions they don't know how to express. Jung believed the shadow contains the parts of ourselves we struggle to accept. For many men, vulnerability lives there. They may accept being strong. They may accept being successful. They may accept being desired. But accepting that they deeply need someone emotionally can feel much harder. This creates a conflict. One part wants closeness. Another part wants protection. One part says, "Stay." Another whispers, "Do not get hurt." This inner battle explains why some people move closer and then suddenly create distance. It does not always mean they stopped caring. Sometimes it means the feelings became more powerful than they expected. However, understanding someone's fear does not mean excusing unhealthy behavior. A person can struggle with vulnerability and still be responsible for how they treat others. Love requires courage. Not only the courage to feel, but the courage to communicate. The healthiest relationships are not built by people who never feel fear. They are built by people who learn not to let fear control their actions. When someone can say, "I am afraid, but I still want to show up honestly," that is emotional maturity. Fifth layer, identity and presence. The person we become through love. The deepest layer of intimacy is not only about what happens between two people. It is about how the experience changes the way they see themselves. Throughout history, relationships have influenced identity. People have searched for belonging, acceptance, and meaning through connection with others. But Jung would remind us that another person should not become the entire foundation of our identity. A partner can reflect something beautiful back to us, but they cannot create our entire sense of self. During intimacy, people often experience moments where they feel completely seen. Not their public image, not their achievements, not their reputation, but the person underneath. This can be both comforting and frightening, because being truly seen means there is nowhere to hide. The masks become weaker. The carefully constructed image begins to fall away. This is where real connection begins. Not when two people impress each other, but when two people are brave enough to be authentic. A meaningful relationship does not demand perfection. It creates space for honesty, for growth, for acceptance. Jung believed the journey toward becoming whole requires facing ourselves completely, the strengths, the fears, the desires, and the wounds. Love can become a powerful mirror in that journey. A healthy partner does not complete us. They reveal us. They encourage us. They challenge us. They walk beside us while we continue becoming ourselves. This is the true depth of intimacy. It is not simply two bodies coming together. It is two human beings meeting beyond the masks they wear for the world. The greatest lesson is this: intimacy does not reveal only how much someone desires you. It reveals how willing they are to be honest, present, and emotionally courageous. A person may feel attraction toward you. They may feel attachment. They may feel a powerful connection. But lasting love requires something more. It requires awareness. It requires responsibility. It requires two people willing to meet each other, not only in passion, but in truth. Carl Jung reminded us that the unconscious influences our lives until we become aware of it. And perhaps nowhere is that lesson clearer than in love. Because intimacy is not only about being close to another person. It is about discovering the hidden parts of ourselves that emerge when we finally allow someone else to see us. If you enjoyed this exploration into the hidden psychology of love and relationships, subscribe to the Love and Relationship Lab. Your support helps us continue creating deeper conversations about psychology, attraction, emotional connection, and the mysteries of the human heart.